So last week, some disturbing allegations. Oh, by the way, it is January the 31st, 2024. Some disturbing allegations came out about the now former chairman, founder of WWE, not WWF, and former CEO, Vincent K. McMahon. That, well, let me start here by reading these allegations here. So, pretty wild stuff. So it's not for the faint at heart. I'm going to make sure, because of YouTube, of course, and with certain words I have to skip over and kind of dance around a little bit to not trigger YouTube demonetizing this video like they did my stream last night when I was talking about the allegations in detail. But I kind of knew they would. I wanted to test it. But anyway, let me read this to you. The lawsuit filed in Connecticut federal court describes in graphic detail Janel Grant's account of interactions with businessman and TV personality Vince McMahon. She alleged that McMahon and another WWE executive, who is said to be alleged John Laurinaitis, locked her in the office in WWE's headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut on June 15th, 2021, and took turns assaulting her. We got to make sure YouTube does not like when you say that word. While other staff were working. In the middle of another workday on June 23rd, 2021, McMahon locked Grant inside his private locker room at WWE's offices and forced himself on her over a massage table, the suit said. Later that day, McMahon's personal assistant delivered 15,000 in Bloomingdale's gift cards to Grant in her office. The suit also includes screenshots of explicit text McMahon allegedly sent to Grant. A May 2020 message said, "I'm the only one who owns you and controls who wants to F you." Grant alleged that McMahon shared nude photos and explicit videos of her without consent with other WWE employees, unnamed executives, and stars, and directed her to have sex with them. The suit cited a July 2020 text that said others at WWE wanted to have sex with her after seeing photos on McMahon's phone. And the group laughed when he told them she may scream to try to say no, although it would be difficult to say anything with a male's member down her throat. I'm just, sugarcoating the word there. So, and it goes on, and it goes on and on. Other allegations with that Brock Lesnar's been involved. He was supposed to be at the Royal Rumble last week, this past weekend, Sunday night, but he was scrapped from the event, and he's going to be off of television for some time. We don't know what his involvement is or how he was involved, but it's heavy rumor and speculation that he's involved in some type of way, to the point where WWE has to tell him, like, "Hold, stay home." Also, it is alleged that Vince McMahon defecated on her head during a threesome in May of 2021. Now, Vince McMahon has since been fired from the WWE, removed as the chairman after they've just pretty much had somewhat of a merger with the UFC. They're under the same umbrella of TKO, who's also heavily rumored to be trying to buy up a big promotional company, boxing promotional company, rumored to be Top Rank, Golden Boy, or PBC, basically the big three. But the rumor was Top Rank, but I doubt that. So before we unpack this, Vince McMahon, 78 years old, watching him since I was a kid. He always wanted to be a wrestler. Net worth of $3 billion. The WWE is hot as it's ever been financially. It was hotter, how can I say, during the Attitude Era and Monday Night Wars, when they were competing with WCW and the NWO and Vince McMahon and the Stone Cold Steve Austin saga. But what a horrible way to go out for it. And the guy's a pervert. I believe it. I want to show some of these texts. I have some on the screen. I don't know if I can show too much of them, but they are graphic. I'm talking about racial tones, and about being assaulted, just straight sex deviant. So, first, let me say, even now as I'm reading this, researching this, 8:12 in the morning, and I'm in the bed last night researching this, like, wow, because the story didn't hit me till late. I heard about it, but I didn't really start following the story until about a couple of days ago. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, all right, let me check in and see what's going on with this Vince McMahon thing. And it is wild. So now there is no Vince McMahon currently employed by the WWE. Stephanie McMahon stepped down sometime within the last year. I forgot exactly. Shane McMahon and Vince have been on the outs for many years now, from my understanding, from what I've researched. Shane McMahon wanted nothing to do with the antics of his father, and from what I've been reading, he knew the day of something like this was going to come anyway. You have Divas, former WWE Divas speaking out. You have allegations that Vince may have drove a former employee, female employee, to take her own life. It's just wild that Divas were uncomfortable around him and just straight being a horn dog. Him and Linda McMahon split officially back in 2022, but from research, they were not seeing each other, or not actually, they were separated for upwards to maybe 20 years or so. So here's the thing. Here's another snippet here. Following claims of hush money agreements McMahon paid over affairs with former WWE employees, McMahon stepped down as CEO and chairman of WWE in 2022. He had just got out of a scandal back then. Just a year ago, he paid off hush money. Pending the conclusion of an internal investigation, he was replaced by his daughter, Stephanie McMahon. The following month, McMahon announced his retirement from WWE, but his return as WWE as executive chairman was confirmed in January of 2023. Wow. And he's now resigned again a year later, January 2024, being called a sex trafficker and pretty much an assaulter of women, and he has a pretty degenerate mind. So, Big J, this is all blowing my mind. Even now that we've been talking about it the last couple of days ago, I still can't believe. I can believe it, but it's like, why would you do something so fucking stupid when you're like, he just sunk his whole legacy, and now they're saying they're scrubbing him like Chris Benoit. I'm reading that they're scrubbing him like they did Chris Benoit.
It's certainly heartbreaking, but as depravative and disgusting as this shit that allegedly, because nothing's been proven yet, that Vince has done, he ain't killed his wife and he ain't killed his son. So let's not put him in the same basket as Chris Benoit, shall we? Because Chris Benoit is a complete fucking piece of shit that killed an innocent child and his wife. And I don't give a fuck how many bloody hits to the head he had or how much steroids he was on. Fuck him.
For real.
So he can bloody rot in hell. New Jack. Remember New Jack when fucking Ving Grimes landed on his head and busted his skull?
I did, yeah.
You didn't see New Jack strangle his wife or kill his kids?
Man barely got a forehead.
Exactly. So fuck Chris Benoit and bloody you can burn in hell. Fuck. That's a terrible thing to say, but fuck.
Yo, that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. They're saying, you know, like he's being scrubbed like Benoit. This is the article I'm reading. Like
well,
that WWE is taking it that serious. That's the point, that they're taking it that serious, that they're like, we're going to wipe him from everything. But how can you wipe Vince from everything?
Well, they did the same to Hogan, but they brought him back because of a comment that he said about some bloke dating his daughter, if you recall.
I remember. Yeah. Oh, I remember all too well. Broke my heart.
But then again, that was an off-color comment of one father saying, yeah, okay, that's a little bit different than what Vince has been doing. So
a lot different.
And I prayed, yeah, a lot different. But yeah, this is these are very, very hard things to swallow, because we all know fucking Vince was a complete lunatic and, you know, a perverted bloody showman and a bloody pervert, but I never thought for a second he'd do some of this shit that he's been accused
you would think
of.
that because of his position, that, you know, he would know, like, all right, this can probably come back to get me one day. And you know, like, you're Vince McMahon, like, you're supposed to be, like, you know, like, with what he's dealt with wrestlers throughout the course of his career, from wrestlers getting involved in God knows what, you would have never thought that he would be the one involved in a scandal this big, like defecating on women's faces, sharing photos with members of the production team of this, allegedly, of this woman urinating and, you know, telling them, oh, you can have her whenever I tell you to, you know, and, you know, you can assault her. She'll probably say no, but, you know, she'll like it. Like, what, wild, just wild.
Just terrible, terrible shit. I mean, the professional wrestling has never been shy of a scandal. I mean,
never.
Jimmy Snuka, allegedly, I don't know if they've approved it or not, but killed his girlfriend or mistress or whoever the poor girl was. That, God, what else happened?
Not to mention the way Sonny was running around.
Oh, Sonny, geez, what a fucking train wreck she
By the way,
turned out
she
to
just
be.
went away to jail, to prison for pretty much the rest of her life. What, about a month or so ago, too?
Yeah, because I think didn't she bloody DUI and end
Yeah,
up
yes she
killing
did.
someone or some
Yes,
shit?
she did.
Jesus, that like, bloody hell, Tammy. I thought you would have learned. I thought you would have learned after the first or second time she got DUI, but she got like 7 before
Yeah.
they freaking locked her up. What other shit scandals have been out there over the years?
Well, for one, the
just trying to think.
the PD, from the '90s, that scandal.
Oh, the steroid one. Yeah,
Not to mention what you told me about. I remember how you used to treat Trish Stratus. Like it was a couple of times that she looked extremely uncomfortable. He made her strip down, yelling at her on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, well, not once but twice, because I remember there was the one in the ring where he made her strip down and bark like a dog. And then there was the other one where Sheldon Benjamin was there, and she had this funny-looking basketball face mask. She had some funny-looking face mask on, and it was. Then she jumped into the arms of Vince and said, "Are you ready for some wrestling?" I think that was like maybe 2003 or something. I can't remember, but I mean, Trish willingly went along with all that shit. So
yeah, and she's still. You're right, and she's still in WWE. Even if it is part time, she still be up in there.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's complete. Making a woman bark like a dog in a ring for a cheap laugh, which I didn't like. Like I said, Vince, come on, you can't make it do that shit. That's completely different to shitting on someone's face.
Yeah.
I mean, that is complete. I mean, that's pretty much the worst thing. That is the most deplorable thing, humiliating, degrading thing you can do to a human being, right?
In front of other people.
Yeah, and then record it and share it around to your mates. I mean, now that Johnny Laurinaitis is involved, I'm not really that surprised, because you know when you look at someone, you just look like, that motherfucker, there's something not right with that bloke.
Yeah.
You just look at him, you're like, he just looks like a fucking pervert. And he's got that look.
I have him up on the screen right now. I never liked his
like
run in the WWE, but at this point in time, I wasn't really watching that much. But I do remember, like, he got a big push. What was he? He was the general manager, right? He was for several years. He was in the spotlight.
He was the general manager of Raw there for a while, but his real job was
the talent relations, the head of talent relations.
Yeah, head of talent relations after they pissed off JR for like the 5th time. He was in charge of OVW there at one point, and I'll get to Jimmy Cornette in a minute. Talent relations. He was head of talent relations, general manager of Raw, and yeah, I mean, I haven't watched wrestling properly for probably 20 years, because you know, once I met my wife, I'm like, I don't need to watch wrestling anymore.
Yeah, that's
I've got a girlfriend.
I only check in for major events. Like, I won't watch them all. I'll check in for the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, maybe a Raw here and there I have in the background. But yeah, I don't actually follow it like I did. I stopped following like maybe about 20 years ago.
Yeah,
Once I went to college, that's when I stopped following.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was 22. I met the wife. I'm like, I don't need to watch this shit anymore. And plus, the product started declining after the ad. Once The Rock and Stone Cold pissed off, it wasn't really worth watching it. So that was pretty much that. But yeah, I mean, Vince, it's just, you just scratch your head and go, Vince, you've seen so many wrestlers die, so many wrestlers face scandal after scandal after scandal. Why in the Lord that all things are sacred would you do this shit? Now, I listened to Jimmy Cornette's podcast about a couple of hours ago on his thoughts, and he's actually trying to come up with some ways to actually justify this shit. Oh, maybe the steroids are catching up to him, or he's getting old.
Oh no, you can't say that.
No, it's
that backlash is going to get him good.
There's like, you can't in any way, shape, or form defend anything that Vince has done if it's proven, because it's not proven in court yet. But I'm like, the warning signs were there 20 years ago. Now, when did Vince start doing all this shit with the girls? About 2001.
That's when things started coming out. You know, but we've been hearing about things from like the 90s. You know, like, but that's when it first started really, really coming out.
Yeah. Well, I remember I just told you just before we started recording that Donahue interview back in '92 of some bloke that was hired as an announcer for 3 seconds, accusing him saying there was sexual harassment running rampant in the company, and Vince did fuck all about it. Nothing directly against him, just the business in general. Yeah. So, but it's like fucking.
Well, remember, who was it again? Who had that big scandal that was close to Vince? Pat Patterson.
No, what scandal about Pat Patterson? I remember a scandal.
One of them was assaulting the male wrestlers. One of them. It came out recently, like the last 5 years or so. Let me see something.
Nah, well, Pat Patterson's been dead for a while.
No, one of them. I'm telling you, one of them is not Pat. Let me see if it's Pat Patterson. One of them had a huge scandal that came out about how, they were, it might not have been him. Let me make sure it was not him. Yes, it was him.
I think I do remember something about Pat doing something.
He used to be he was allegedly groping the male wrestlers. He was, they're saying he was, I'm reading on Wikipedia, they're saying he was closeted gay. Pat
was openly gay. Everyone knew he was gay, but everyone just kept it on the low.
Yeah, but there was something going on where, he had a lot of allegations that came out about him after his death.
Yeah, well, that really pisses me off. Why go after a dead man?
Yeah. Wrestlers were coming out too, like male wrestlers were coming out saying like, yeah, he used to come in the locker room and, but it's just, I mean, I don't, obviously, Vince McMahon, how they say sometimes you have to separate the artist.
Yes.
From the allegation and everything,
exactly.
because he was a part of our childhood, like commentary team on all the pay-per-views and Monday Night Raw, and just to see him go out like this to where now they're even talking about anyone who was associated with Vince McMahon. You're not the same used to go, oh, he's a Vince guy. Now they're saying like all of them have to go now too. They're trying to wipe the whole slate clean this.
To do that, they'd have to fire pretty much everyone and start the company from the ground up, because how much does Triple H know? How much does Stephanie know? How much does Shane know? How much does Linda know? How much does, what's his name? The one that Jimmy Cornette always bloody rides because he's got crooked teeth. Kevin Dunn. How much does Kevin Dunn know about this shit? Because Kevin Dunn's in the production team. He's the head of it.
For real, yeah.
So, how much does Kevin Dunn know? How much does, I can't remember, what's the other guys? There's heaps of production guys in there, but Kevin Dunn's probably the head of it.
All the music, everything.
Bruce Pritchard. How much did Bruce Pritchard know about this shit? I mean, even though he's been gone for a while, I mean, the thing is that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Who knew, and how long did they know for, and how do they keep it all quiet? And I pray to God, bloody Mark, the Undertaker, I pray to God Taker didn't know anything about it.
They're close.
I mean, yeah, they're like father and son. I pray to God Taker's not involved in any of this.
But you got to think, man, you know how these things go, especially like this is just the tip of the iceberg right now. As the weeks go on, don't be surprised if you have other employees or past female employees or wrestlers say, we went to Triple H and we went to Shane McMahon, we went to Stephanie, and they all knew. We went to the Undertaker, they all knew. This is how this usually works. Like, it's gonna. I think this is going to get even uglier.
I pray to God that Taker's not involved, Triple H isn't involved, Stephanie's not involved, Shane's not involved. Well, Linda hasn't been involved for a long, long time. So,
yeah.
I mean, I just hope that all this shit has only been recently, because I mean, over the last 12 months, as I said to you before. What the fuck is Vince's Clark Gable look? Where did that come from?
I put on the screen. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't expect that. He started popping up with this about a year ago.
Yeah, because Jimmy Cornette has said Vince wouldn't go anywhere without a personal grooming kit on him, like those electric shaver things.
He was always clean face.
Vince wouldn't go into his living room without being clean shaven. Jimmy Cornette used to say, said once on his podcast. Because you never saw Vince
ever with a beard, stubble, mustache, nothing ever.
Nothing. Because I remember if you watch the Young Rock show, the bloke that plays Vince had a 3-day growth there at one point, and Jimmy Cornette went off his fucking brain about it. It was pretty funny. Getting off topic, but Vince, I mean, I know he's in his late 70s, but so what? So is fucking a lot of people, and you don't see. Although when's the last time have you ever been in a nursing home?
No, it's been several years for me.
Yeah, I've been in nursing homes, and let me tell you, when people have dementia and stuff, they do some pretty crazy shit. Like, I've literally seen older people in their 80s and 90s run down the hall, as fast as they can, walk down the hall, defecate in their own hand and rub it in their hair because they're that out of it. But that is completely different to doing it to someone else. So, I mean, I know Vince is getting up there in age, but...
Yeah, but you got to think now, but this is, come on, we all still know he has his faculties to him. You know, like, Vince McMahon, like, and what gets me is he essentially was told to resign last year because of the hush money he paid off.
Yeah, why'd they let him back? Why'd they let him back? That's the part I don't get.
Well, they let him back to close out this deal from what I'm understanding, like this merger under the same umbrella with the UFC. You know, like
sort of off topic here. Shane wanted to buy the UFC like 25 years ago, but Vince said no, it wasn't worth it. So anyway, but I'm just, it's just, this is going to get worse and worse and worse, and I do not want to see the biggest wrestling company in human history go down because Vince just wanted to be, how do you even describe it?
I hate to say this. Well, he sunk himself. You know, I hate to say this, but I have a feeling that it's going to be another, somebody else is going to go down big. I hope it's not the Taker. It's looking like Brock Lesnar. John Laurinaitis is done, but I hope it's not going to be some situation where it's like, you know, one of these females or somebody come out and say, well, yeah, such and such he knew, and he used to be right there.
Actually, I've got a theory on Brock because he's married to Sable. Remember when Sable sued the WWE like 20 years ago for inappropriate?
I remember that. That was more than 20 years ago. About give or take. That was a long...
Yeah, that was about 2003, 2004, right, when Sable, whose real name is Rena Lesnar, she was Mero,
yeah.
She sued Vince for doing something. I can't remember.
But it never came out. What happened?
Yeah. So if Sable's going after Vince again, why would Brock be working for WWE? So I hope Brock's not involved, but if he is involved, it's probably because Sable's going after Vince again.
Yeah.
That would make sense, but you never know. I mean,
it says in 1999, Sable quit WWE and filed a $110 million lawsuit against the company, citing allegations of sexual harassment and unsafe working conditions. She claimed to have filed a lawsuit after refusing to go topless. During the lawsuit, Vince McMahon countersued her for control of the stage name Sable. Petty Vince.
She practically did go topless.
She did. She
Bloody,
did. The handprint.
She had that bikini with the handprints
she was in a Playboy.
No, but Vince wanted her to go topless, and she said no. But she did that bikini thing. Remember?
I remember.
We've shown it on the channel before. So I think we showed it when we were going after Ebony Bridges for being the Sable of boxing and all that.
Yeah, I remember.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, you just don't know what to say to this situation, and I don't want all this. I mean, obviously the text messages. What's the lady's name that's accusing Vince?
Janel Grant.
She's got enough evidence to bury Vince permanently, because the text messages alone, from what I've heard, I haven't seen it, even though I don't want to see any of them, are disgusting.
I would never think that I would, like, when I was reading, I'm like, what the fuck? I would never think that Vince would talk like that. Like, never. Like, punctuation, that's exactly everything, spelling the words. I'm like, what in the world?
That's what Jimmy Cornette said on his podcast. He goes, Vince doesn't fucking talk like this. It's like he kept on saying like a 17-year-old boy. I'm like,
that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I seriously doubt a 17-year-old boy would think it'd be a good idea to go shit on somebody.
Well, here's the thing. Let me give a little snippet. I'm not going to go into the details. But this is one of the text messages. Read your last picture. You need your panties ripped off and 3 big black D's in all 3 holes at the same time. Way up your P, way up your A, as far as they will go, but even further. And the thickest C goes down your throat, so it makes you gag and convulse as, oh my gosh, Vince McMahon.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that does sound like something a frat boy would friggin' say that has absolutely no manners, was not raised properly. Yeah, that's,
I don't even talk to my women like that. I don't even message like stuff like that. I can't imagine a 78-year-old.
I would never even contemplate sending any woman a message like
that. Exactly.
Because
what? And this is a 78-year-old man, 76 at the time, apparently. But still, it's like, whoa. Like, bro, like, what is going on with this dude? But listen, we got to wrap up because I do feel that this is going to be a bigger story as time goes on. This is just the beginning. Don't be surprised if pictures start coming out and this is going to get ugly. I'm waiting for the next ball to drop. Who is it going to be? It's looking like it's going to be allegedly some. I'm not going to say any names, but it's looking like something. This is just the beginning with these type of things. Kind of like the Harvey Weinstein thing, where it just opened the floodgates. The Bill Cosby thing just opened up the floodgates.
Yeah, and the one thing this is going to do. This is going to rip out the heart of every single WWE fan, past or present, and go, fuck, Vince, why did you have to fuck it up?
Yeah, well, I'm already like that. I'm looking like, you know what, like, let him get away with a lot of different things. You know, I still had issues over the Montreal screw job, you know, but...
Oh, yeah, but, yeah, I mean, no one got, figuratively...
That was a big scandal because we didn't have the internet back then. We didn't know like what the hell was going on.
Yeah, but I mean,
this puts the plane ride from hell to shame. Everything. This is the biggest scandal they've ever had.
Yeah, it is. And the things that it's going to overshadow things like what happened to Owen and
yes, it is.
Yeah, rest in peace, Owen. Terrible way to fucking go. The Montreal screw job, all that sort of shit, and this is just going to bury everything, and it's just going to completely. If anyone's got stock in WWE, I'd be advising you to get rid of it fucking
And that's
quick.
the problem. They just got on the market with this TKO merger with UFC. That's crazy. Like he just sunk them big time, which is why they're trying to scrub everything involving him now.
Exactly. So if you've got any action figures or anything like that, or anything WWE, I suggest you sell it on eBay now because probably in 2 weeks it ain't going to be worth jack.
Yeah. All right, closing thoughts.
This is going to be the ripple effect, and this is a rabbit hole I don't want to go down, but I think we're all going to be, every fan's going to be dragged into it. Like, it's just going to get worse, and this is probably going to be. Hopefully that this is just going to be okay. Vince and a few other select deviates, right? A handful of people, they'll be dealt with, and that'll be the end of it. I'm praying it's not covers like 50, 60, 70-something people, and pretty much everyone that you don't want to be involved is involved, and it pretty much destroys a legacy of the last 40 years of Vince's and pretty much everyone else involved in the company.
Yeah.
Right? Hard work, and pretty much it's going to tarnish everybody over the last at least 20 years.
Especially those who are close to Vince.
I mean,
because it's going to be, how much did you know?
Sorry? Exactly. I mean, everyone involved, everyone in the inner circles will be like, well, how much did you know about this shit? So there is one thing that I learned in the Army that they always used to say to me when I was in the Army. The standard you walk past is the standard you accept. So that's going to come back and bite a lot of people in the ass and be like, if they knew about it and they did fuck all about it, well, there you go. And I think a lot of people are going to be. Didn't start looking at Vince the same way when he adopted this silly looking Clark Gable fucking look. But now I'm like, Vince. I just can't look at Vince. I can't look at Vince in the same way. And I was like, fucking, gee, what the bloody hell happened?
Also, Vince is a billionaire. He probably knew weeks before that this was coming down. He had to know.
Of course. I mean, a man that smart wouldn't have seen something like this coming.
Yeah, he had to know it was coming. But listen, we got to wrap up. Take your time out. Like the video, subscribe. That is Big J's Twitter right there. Old mate Big J right there on the screen with this Vince McMahon, Clark Gable mustache, whatever he's going through. Clearly going through some things. We're going to be following this story. And yes, I do predict that this rabbit hole is going to get deeper. Usually this is how it works with these type of scandals, that we're just seeing a little bit now. So it's a slow trickle. It's a slow trickle. So now let's see how this develops, and we're going to be following this story. Thanks for watching. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe, and have a wonderful day.